Game over. It is game over.
Game over, cancer. I'm Val Solomon, Director of Program Impact at Cannonball Kids Cancer Foundation.
And I'm Dana Nichols, Executive Director of CKC.
Game Over Cancer, a podcast dedicated to exploring conversations about pediatric cancer research, solutions, and inspiring family stories.
We're a nonprofit dedicated to creating innovative treatment options for kids fighting cancer and educating for change.
By creating a space for these conversations, we empower the community to take action and provide tangible hope.
Game over, cancer. Screw you, cancer. Today we have two awesome guests. They're a married couple who had come in to be our gala chairs. But I think what today is really all about when I listen is that idea of taking the first few steps and then they compound and you're ready to take the next big step, which is really a leap and is what they did.
Right. And it's about showing up in your community, but not just wanting to do that, but how do you do that? How do you maybe put your toe in the beginning and then just as you're more comfortable, take on what you are comfortable doing.
Yeah.
And they are a really great example of doing that thoughtfully, intentionally, and having fun with it as well.
Totally. I loved hearing how much intentional conversation they were having behind the scenes as we've asked them to step up for leadership and what that looked like for them. I think it really puts a lot in perspective for me of why it's been such a beautiful working relationship with them as volunteers.
And I just love the thought of, they're sitting there both cooking dinner being like, did you get Dana's email? What did you think about that? It can be that easy.
Yeah.
It can be that organic and natural to step into leadership. And I love this conversation. I love them. So I'm glad to share this.
Yeah, absolutely. Take a listen. He is a partner at Norden Leacox Accident and Injury Law, where he dedicates his work to helping injured individuals rebuild their lives. He's a devoted husband and dad raising two amazing kids, Madison and Jackson, along with their family dog, Nala. And whether or not he's working or volunteering, after that, you can find him skiing, doing CrossFit, or planning his next adventure.
That's right. And she is a board-certified, award-winning pediatrician and faculty member at both UCF and Florida State University Medical Schools, a member of the Golden Humanism Honor Society, and recipient of the Merritt Riles Clements MD Award for Excellence. Mom to two amazing kids, Madison and Jackson, along with their family dog, Nala. And they are each one half of the powerhouse duo behind CKC's Gold Gala for the past 2 years.
And they're here with us today, so please welcome Nick and Michelle Norden.
Yay! Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for putting up with our intros.
I know. They're used to a bit. They've been co-chairs for 2 years. They're used to our shtick by this point.
I know, but they don't have to feign interest on video usually. So there's that. We're really glad you could be here today because you've been involved with CKC for so long. But further, you're involved with your community through and through. And so we love that. And we're going to do something super awkward, which is we're going to make you brag on yourselves for just a little bit and just talk about all the ways or some of the ways you show up for your community, because we love hearing about how active you are as a family and with your work.
Love to. You want me to go first? Sure. Well, so with my law firm, Norden Leacox, we do a bunch of different things. Number one, we actually have a surf scholarship, which we think is really cool during the summer. For kids that can't necessarily afford to take surf lessons, we offer a couple scholarships. They go out and learn how to surf for a week or two, which is really cool. Mm-hmm. We do a separate scholarship for kids that have actually been impacted by cancer. Whether it's they've been impacted or a family member's been impacted, they write an essay, submit their scores, and we give away a partial scholarship to help them go to college.
Oh, that's awesome.
One of my favorite ones is our backpack giveaway. Every year we choose a school, usually a little underfunded, and we provide backpacks to everyone in elementary school free of charge. They just come in, they get a backpack, they get some supplies. And it's a fresh start to a new year and a great way to give back.
It's amazing. I didn't know Several of those.
I had heard about the backpack.
I know the
stuff.
backpack.
I knew the backpack stuff, but I didn't know about the different scholarships. That's
Amazing.
fantastic. Just supporting the way that you all show up and support kids who have either been struck by disease or just unfortunate, in some ways underfunded by other parts of the community. To have you kind of step in and help out and give a hand up is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cool.
Mm-hmm. And like we said, you've been involved with CKC for a long time, but can you take us back to the beginning, like what made you get involved and also what it means for you to be part of the fight against pediatric cancer?
So as a pediatrician, I've always had a heart for the pediatric oncology world, and just meeting Melissa Wiggins and Cannon when I was in residency here at Arnold Palmer. I got very involved in the organization. We were at the first Gold Gala. Mm-hmm. We've been coming ever since. And so I just love everything that Cannonball Kids Cancer does to help change the status quo and provide more funding for research. And it's been something that I like to see to help, my patients, our community, and we like to get involved there.
And when we've had you all as the co-chairs at Gala, you've also come and done the welcome each time. And Nick, I remember your speech, part of what your remarks has been your perception or your experience watching Michelle come home on those tough days where she has to tell a child in the family that their diagnosis is cancer. I wondered if you could share a little bit of that for our listeners who haven't been able to come to Gala.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's when we started the firm, we said we wanted to give back. And in looking at the ways to do that, the thing that impacts me the most is my family and seeing how things impact them. And Michelle is one of the most positive, wonderful people you'll ever meet. She's almost never sad, never in a bad mood. But on days when she diagnoses a patient with cancer, you can see how it impacts her. Mm-hmm. And she's just the physician. She's not the family that's going through this. So absolutely, when she comes home and I see that, it made me want to do something to be able to help that out. And so we talked about it and said, hey, this is what's going to be one of our primary focuses, is to help those families that are going through this terrible, terrible experience to hopefully, find a cure.
I think it's such an important perspective to hear that too, because we talk to a lot of people who really, they hear about the reality of pediatric cancer, but they haven't experienced it firsthand. And so understanding through some of our education pieces, just how challenging the reality is for families and how hard it is to fund research to really move the needle towards better care. I think a lot of people kind of feel like, well, but how could I possibly change anything, right? And I think you guys are doing a great example of, we have this one area that we can influence and that we can make a difference. And that's where we're going to step into, where other people will have the other parts and we're going to do this piece. And I know it's something that we speak about a whole lot with people, just making sure that they understand there is a spot for everyone in the fight.
Absolutely.
And that's true. And going through training, when you do your residency, you do a little bit of rotations in all the different areas. And when I did my hematology oncology rotation, I really felt at home in that area. And it was one of those things that I considered, do I want to do this as a specialty? Can I do this and be a mom and a wife and, do all the other things? And, I ended up in primary care, but I still wanted to be involved. So I felt like, being involved in this organization is such a great fit for me because I'm still able to help out where I can and still, see my patients on the primary care side of things, but be involved in the oncology world.
It's so interesting, I think, because we speak when we're talking with doctors, it's usually our funded or potentially funded researchers. So it's really cool to have a perspective of an MD, someone who really does care about it. And also it's kind of part of their job, not their full job. It's really neat. I wonder, what is it like, especially those early years, right? Where you're the doctor, you're an MD, you see the reality of it every day, and then you're going to an event. And what is it like sitting there and knowing that there's this part of the world, this fun evening, and then there's also, the reality, which is I've got to diagnose these patients. I guess my question is What was that experience like in the beginning for you?
It's very different looking at it from the other side, because I'm used to being the one who's there providing the bad news and letting the parents know, like, hey, this is your diagnosis. This is what we're looking ahead at. And even, as primary care doctor and they're getting their cancer treatment through the oncologist, I'm still helping support all the other things, the side effects of their treatment, their developmental delays, their, getting caught up in school and, all those kind of things, and the siblings and the other family members and how they're dealing with all this. Yeah. And then, going to things like Gala and doing the events here and seeing all the people that have the passion to help fund and help make better treatment options. It's really kind of full circle to be able to be involved in all the aspects of pediatric cancer.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think that's a great question and leads into, for us, like you said, you've been there since the beginning, first Gala. And so then a couple of years ago, we're like, hey, it's cool, you come every year. You want to be the co-chairs? Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about, I guess we always talk about that idea of like raising your hand and saying yes, what would lead you to step up for leadership, and then what it was like going from I attend to I help steer the whole ship of it.
Wow. So I guess I had concerns when I was initially asked because of the time commitment and with running my own law firm and family and everything else. But having my wonderful wife to help me made things a lot easier, because she said, no, we can do this. We can make time. And we did. And I think that's important for anyone that wants to get involved in anything, is that you always think, hey, my life's so full of things, I don't have time for anything. But you can find time to do things. And this is something that's very important, that you should be able to sit there and, hey, you can carve out a little bit of time each week or each month, to do something like this and give back. And so it was such an honor to be asked to do it and to be involved with it. And Dana, your team was amazing with making it easy for us to be a part of and do. So it was awesome.
And I think as busy professionals or, whatever you're doing in life, like even with our kids, they're so active and they've got so much going on. It's easy to get overwhelmed and kind of get stuck in your day-to-day routine and not, add more things onto your plate, right?
Yeah.
And I remember when we had that meeting with you initially and you asked us, we were both a little shocked and very honored. And, we had this conversation of, do we have the time that it takes that CKC needs for us to put in? Because we didn't want to do a disservice and not be there fully. And we just decided we have to make this happen. There's no way we can say no. This is something we really feel passionate about and we want to help. And also to let other people know that no matter how you can fit in or what time you have, it's easy to do something to help.
Yeah.
Get involved.
Let me ask you too, and this is kind of a question for all three of you because I wasn't in that meeting.
You can imagine it was at a Starbucks.
Sure. Because I know this question comes from, we think a lot alike about philanthropy and how you work with volunteers and donors and how you we're able to cultivate someone from attendee to say more service, right? So I wonder for you guys in particular, but also Dana, what was there a conversation about an off-ramp? Because I feel like we spend so much time. How do we get, what would these folks, what would we do to make them feel comfortable coming on and doing this? But at what point did you kind of say, and then if you don't like it, we'll move on in this way? Or did I
give you an out? She's asking if I gave you an out.
Did they give
from
you
the jump?
Okay.
I don't remember.
You 100% did. And it was not a pressure ask. Okay. I didn't feel that way at all. Yeah, I felt like it was, hey, we'd love to have you do this. But if you can't, and you talked about other things that we could do. And, but you also talked about all the support we would have. I remember the conversation because I was a little shocked. But it was, I think you did a great job with the way you asked, and you made it hard to say no certainly if it's something we were passionate about.
Okay.
And that's the way it should be, right?
Yeah.
When you ask someone is if we do care about this, it should be an ask that makes it very easy for us to say yes.
And you did tell us, I don't want an answer today. I want you guys to think about it. And by the end of that meeting, we were like, yes,
That's
100%.
good. That's a good one.
We're there.
I like that.
I had
That's
some
good.
good. Write it all down.
Anybody?
Here's my thought process.
If you're a nonprofit, this is the part you need to listen to. This is like
Here's
for the fundraisers out there.
I don't know that I remember specifically in this meeting, right? But what I do know about how I would approach anyone with this ask, and so sounds like me, is one, I think for Gala especially, we've kind of put out into the universe that if we can get a 2-year commitment from our chairs, that it's enough where you build steam along the way and you get comfortable, but you don't feel chained to this event. Like in anything we do, we don't want anyone who comes in to lead and volunteer to feel like if I leave, I am holding this whole thing up on my own. So I think there's that. I really believe, and again, Val and I go back to and forth on like same brain that goes in a different, it's on a different track. But, you know, philanthropy is different now. When we're sitting here talking to you, we're talking to someone who's running their own law firm and someone who is a pediatrician taking care of children in a medical practice all day. And that shouldn't have to count you out from the jump of doing something like you say that you're passionate about and want to do. So if we are an organization that has a special events manager, as we do and have brought on, then it should be easy enough for you to lead and not actually have to plan the whole event. Because otherwise, why do we have full-time staff? And there's a back and forth to that. But we live in a different world today where most people, male and female, are working and so much. We all could work a little less, but we really can't. So to say yes to one more thing is a huge thing. How do we make that feel good? And it should feel good to do good. So we really have spent a lot of time on how do we make that happen. And I love to hear it back like on the other end of, and yeah, it felt like that to some extent because it is work, but I mean, not talking to a lawyer and a doctor who don't know that like hard work is worth it at the end of the day. But there's a difference between like pushing a boulder up a hill and actually making some progress and making change. We love that part.
I think that's a great segue into something else that I know we wanted to ask about, which is, you know, one thing that we cannot do, the reason why we need chairs and we need a committee and we need members of the community is because, you know, we can do a lot of the logistics, a lot of the administration of how does this event take place, but we need networking. We need folks who have their own sphere of influence. And so one of the things as chairs and as committee members that we ask and hope that people are able to do is to bring their friends to the event, help us find sponsorships. And I wanted to just, chat with you all a little bit about your experience there. What has that been like? I feel like we've had this conversation a little bit before, but never on a podcast of, you know, you all have friends and you go to their things and then they come to yours. And so can you talk a little bit about that for our audience?
Yeah. So I guess, we have a great group of friends and they're very supportive and they love to give back. And with this being such a great cause, it wasn't hard to get them to come to the event. And then once they got there, obviously to donate and bid on things and just have a good time giving back. And so it was great that our friends were so willing to do that. I personally really enjoyed the part of going out and to other businesses and talking to them about what a great thing CKC is and what a great idea and how it gives back. I got to meet a lot of new people that run businesses around Central Florida, and they were so willing to give back. And I made some new friends now. And there are places that I go in, maybe to eat, and I now know the owner or the manager there, and they say hi every time. And they're, we ask how we're doing and ask specifically, hey, how'd the gala go? How'd everything get? So it turned out to be an incredible experience.
I love that. I think it is very easy on the outside to go asking people for things is scary. That's like the number one thing we get. And we totally get that.
We get it.
I get that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, connecting people to something to be passionate about is really exciting,
Yeah.
right? And I think when I have a friend or a colleague who is passionate and excited about something, that enthusiasm rubs right off on me. And so I want to be part of something when people are, going all in and excited. It feels good. It's the type of energy we're all, especially now, looking for in this world. And it feels a little easier than we think on the outset that you can rally people just because you are excited about something.
And when we are so excited about something and we bring our friends in and introduce them to the mission and everything, and then we see them get excited about it too, and wearing their CKC hats and telling their friends about CKC and things, it's a great feeling to know that, we're spreading the word and getting more people involved too.
I do have to say the year that they came on board as chairs, that was the year we put those buttons out, right? At Gala. One of the things that, speaking of, excited and, just passionate attendees at this gala, that was the first time we put some stuff out. We were just like, well, people will take it or whatever. And we had these little buttons and somewhere during the evening, people started putting them on their formal dresses. Yeah. And I remember we looking at each other just like, they really love the merch.
We had all these
such
people,
a great vibe.
Yes, because we had put hats in our sponsor gifts, and then the pin back buttons.
Yeah,
we saw all these ladies putting them on their fancy
Not
dresses.
Even magnets, the pin back.
All these men putting on their nicely coiffed hair.
Yeah,
and we're like, y'all are here for a good time.
I love it.
Great. and I do think that it feels fun to be together and people have let loose on some of the more fun aspects that we just were like, hey, we'll put some extra stuff on the table.
And you don't have to ask us twice, because then the next year was like, well, we're putting out temporary tattoos then. People will obviously like that. This is our crowd.
Yes. I think we talk a lot about what can we infuse in an event that's very difficult, that's a little bit of joy, that's fun, that's a reminder of childhood. And I know for both of you, that really has been an easy click-in of finding places to have fun. Y'all are definitely people with hobbies and who look to have a really full life and understand what that means for children to do that too. Right. And to be able to show up at an event and feel some kind of energy like that is really cool. Does that take you by surprise though, or you're like, yeah, of course, a good event's a good event?
No, I definitely think it does, because, during the portion of the event, it gets very heavy.
Yes.
Okay. It gets very emotional. And that's a good thing, because then people are giving from their hearts, and you want that. But one of our favorite things is that at the end of the event, there's always a dance floor, and we're always out there celebrating and having a good time because we've just raised money for such a great cause.
Yeah.
And I know our friends that come and the people that are with us, they love that.
Yeah.
You want to feel good about what you're doing and, not come off feeling like, oh, wow, there's all this weight. There's so much to do.
Yeah.
Did I help enough?
Right.
But, every little bit helps, right? And having seen Gala from the first one to now, the 10th, it's been a big progression.
Yeah.
And I think we've incorporated a lot more of that, childlike wonder into our Gala.
I think it doesn't happen also, or it happens easier, I'll say, if you have people who are chairing your committee who have attended and who know the value of having a balanced event in that way, that we're going to spend some time talking about the hard thing and we're going to be doing some good, because the good news here is that you can help. And that's what we don't want to, the reality is the reality, and it's very difficult, but you don't want to spend so much time there that you discourage people from feeling like they have any kind of control in the problem. And so having, folks who have experienced not only our gala, but are in fun, at events and in, different missions and different parts of philanthropy throughout the community, really get that and understand it and be like, yeah, people will love that. Let's do it. I'm excited. I think is a part of the success of it too.
This is not a marriage podcast. We're very interested to hear what it was like planning the event together as a couple to like co-chair. Maybe that's something you've done in the past before, but I didn't think so. So we wondered what you learned about each other in the process. Question mark.
I think we're a good balance with each other, right? And when one of us was super busy or, he's traveling, things like that, the other one kind of took over. So it's very nice being co-chair with someone that you're in the same house with, because anytime we had to make decisions or like talk about things, we could do it anytime.
You're like,
hey, that's
we're planning meetings, we're cooking dinner. We're like, hey, how about this? Let's reach out to this person.
Yeah.
It made it a lot easier, like going to businesses. We're having dinner together and we're talking to the people at the restaurant. Do you guys want to donate something? Because we're involved in this great organization and we would love to, showcase your business as well and help get stuff for our auction. So I think because we work well together, I think it was easy, being a husband-wife duo. I've planned events with other people, prior to this. And I feel like this was by far the easiest, not only for the two of us being there together, but also having the whole team and all the support of the committee. Definitely made it a lot easier to go through the process.
We will not ruin your marriage
No.
if you co-chair this event.
You should have said that at Starbucks, just to be clear.
I didn't know if that was true. I can't say that at the outset.
Well, I just think it goes to show fundraising or any kind of community involvement, it's easier with a buddy.
Yes.
Whether
Yes.
it's,
A buddy you like.
especially if it's a buddy you like and your partner and you work well doing other things together, or if it's your friends too. Like having your friends come along and help out makes everything more fun.
For sure.
It does. And it helps a lot when you do things together all the time anyways, because you don't have to schedule a time.
Yeah.
You'd be like, hey, we need to fit this in our schedule to find this. We just found time when we had time.
Yeah.
And it may have been we put kids to bed and they're in bed and we're getting ready, and we'd have conversations to talk about things. So it was a great experience. I'm also very good at saying yes, dear, whatever you want. So that probably helped too.
I would say that
Probably the most.
It's very true.
What I think is cool is you're going to off-board as chairs. You've already signed up for your next CKC adventure because you've signed up to do the 10K fundraising through the Run Disney Marathon. Do you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Well, obviously,
Awesome.
two very fit people who do all the wellness.
It checks out with all the bio information.
Yes. So I'm really excited about that because that is new for us and fun. And I think one of the first conversations we ever had was you and Pam Ponce saying we need some kind of race for CKC. So I love to see the full circle of it. And you are trying to convince me. I'm going in full plug here because what we do have left are 10K and half marathon bibs. And they're doing the 10K. And you said it's your favorite one. Do you want to talk about why?
Yes. So I've done, I don't even know, probably 30 plus Disney races. So I've been doing them for many, many years. And during marathon weekend, the weather's always kind of, touch and go. Sometimes it's really, really hot. Sometimes it's very, very cold. But the 10K course has always been my favorite during marathon. It changes a little from year to year, but usually that's the one that you spend the most time in the parks. And you're running around Epcot and, Hollywood Studios and the resort area right in between there. And it's always a really well laid out course. Like Princess is fun because you get to run through the castle, but most of your miles are on the highway running from Epcot to Magic Kingdom and back. So it gets a little boring. So I like to have something to keep me occupied. And Disney's great because they have entertainment along the route too, but I like to look at the park and things that are around me as well too. So I have run that almost every year. And so I'm excited that this year we get to run it for CKC.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We're excited too. So we do have just a handful of bibs left that are 10K and half marathon. So people can go to our website for that. But also, if you're in Central Florida, you want to join us for the next Gold Gala. It will be in 2026, but you can mark your calendar for April 11th. The thing is, you don't have to wait. We've got
Why
stuff
wait?
going all the time.
That's a long way away for right now.
Yeah, come to that. But first, come check out on our website all of our events. Go to the Make an Impact page on cannonballkidscancer.org, and you can see how you want to get involved. And you can hear we've got so many places for people to plug in that feel good to them. So we hope you'll take a look.
Yeah, absolutely. And we want to thank you for listening to Game Over Cancer. If you have any questions about anything that we talked about, don't forget the conversation can continue in the comments on our videos. So please
Nice comment.
join it. Yeah. Join the conversation, but only if you're going to say something sweet.
No, or like, prolific dialogue. We love it all. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you joining us, making a commitment to be part of our fight. I'm Dana Nichols.
I'm Val Solomon.
They're Nick and Michelle Norden. And until next time, we will CK.
See you later. Join us as we transform fear into courage and turn adversity into opportunities for change.
If you want to be involved in the conversations that create change in the world of pediatric cancer, take a moment, share, like, and subscribe. Absolutely. Screw you, cancer. Get the heck out of here.